Bro, here I thought I was pulling something good. I ended up with another Yuhime. My Yuhime is already at R1. I pulled Yuhime a few days ago. I didn't save my Nexus crystals. I just pulled whenever I get them. So this video is gonna be about resonance that might make the unit worse. So if you pull a certain resonance, it's probably a good idea to just not give them the resonance until you pull more of them to get a higher resonance. So I'm gonna go through a few. The first one is going to be Alice. She's not that bad, but the resonance that I'm talking about is her R6. Starstream, assisting allies AP plus 20%. Starstream is her S1, so if she calls in an ally and you have her at R6, it's going to ruin most of your runs in Ritual Miracle, because in Ritual Miracle it's very heavy on the speed tuning. If she AP pushes one of your allies, the speed order is going to be out the window and it's going to ruin your run. But her R6 effect is very useful for stuff like Desolate Lens. That 20% AP push is going to add a lot. You can take more turns, because in Desolate Lens right now, especially when you're going with the Ankit Chai approach, it's all about taking more turns rather than speed tuning, or rather than turn order. So this 20% is useful for Desolate Lens, but it's not good for Ritual Miracle. So yeah, that's the first one. The next 4-star is going to be Joser. The resonance I'm talking about is his R6. Eternal Strength, Bulge Rage, chance of ignoring debuffs increased to 100%. And the reason is because you don't really want him to, especially when you're using him in APEP, you don't want him to consume his Bull's Rage stacks. His Bull Rage is his passive. Each stack increases the carrier's basic defense by 10% and resist by 5% when inflicting with the debuff other than incapacitated. 50% chance of consuming one Bull Rage stack to ignore this debuff. So if you have him at R6, it's going to be 100% chance of consuming Bull's Rage while also removing one stack. So you're less 10% defense, but you do ignore the debuff. But again, if you're using him on APEP, the debuff is just poison and he has a lot of defense. He's not going to get one shot anyways, so consuming one stack is actually bad for him. And the Bull Rage is very good is because when Bull Rage is active, he inflicts disease and it cannot be resisted, which is perfect for APEP. So if you do have him at R5 or something like that, you don't really want to give him R6 effect, especially when you only use him on APEP. So yeah, hold off using giving him the R6 effect unless there is an event where resonance matter, like for example the Celestial Anomaly. Then those sort of events where he can be used, the R6 can be useful, because that's going to give him extra stats from the Celestial Anomaly tree. But for now, definitely don't give him this R6 effect, especially when you only use him in APEP. The next unit, the reason why this video is even created is because of Yuhime. I have R1 Yuhime and Yuhime's R2. Let's take a look, right? This is the resonance that you don't want. Death Gate has a 100% chance of dealing extra damage at the cost of one Hell's Hand stack. Extra damage equals to 15% of attack. This is nothing. 15% of attack. Her S2 does no damage anyway, so you don't really want the 15% attack at the cost of one Hell's Hand stack. She's not going to have 6 Hell's Hand stack every single time. And for the most part, in the event that she's good, you want to run her in on Astral Witchcraft instead, because you want her to take as many turns as possible while retaining this Hell's Hand stacks. So if you do give her the R2 effect, she's going to use the S3 and then maybe get 6 stacks, and then if she procs an Astralis, she's going to use the S2, removing 2 stacks. So now she only has 4 stacks. The next turn, if she procs an Astralis again, she's going to cast her skill 2 twice, and then she's going to be out of the Hell's Hand stacks. You don't really want that. Her S2 is not for the damage, it's more so for the defense down and for the AoE hits. So if you do get her to R2, or if you pull her and you can R2 her, I would just hold off and maybe start giving her resonance when you can give her up to R4. I wouldn't even give this R3 effect because you would have to go through the R2 effect. This is going to make her worse in most content because most of the time you want this Hell's Hand stack to linger for as long as possible so that she can retain the speed up, the attack up, the immunity, the defense up, whatever, right? Once she exhausts this Hell's Hand stack, she's not going to have those debuffs, those buffs, and it's not going to be good for her because this R2 effect is going to make it a lot faster that she removes this Hell's Hand stack and make it a lot worse for you. 15% is nothing, okay? Don't give it to her. If you can get her to R2, just hold it until you can get her to R4. And last but not least is Abigail. Her R2 makes her even worse against Tricky. Let's take a look. Rose Blessing dispels all debuffs from Abigail. This might sound good, but right now we have Tricky, which is very prevalent in PvP, and if you give her this resonance, she's gonna be worse for going up against Tricky. When she cleanses, everything is going to get removed from her and she's going to get a 30% HP cut. So you don't want her R2. Let's take a look at what situation is this R2 good in. When she has a ton of debuffs, like for example defense break, sear, poison, or whatever, right? But it doesn't work against stuns because if you're stunned, you cannot use her S2. By the way, that R2 effect is an added effect onto her R2. If you use the R2, she's going to cleanse herself. So it's not going to work against stuns. But most of the time, we don't really have units that are defense breaking in PvP. We do, but it's not that detrimental. Cleansing defense break is very good, but if you're weak against one unit that is very prevalent in the meta, I wouldn't use this resonance to give it to her. Giving Abigail this R2 effect makes her a lot weaker against Tricky. She's gonna cleanse herself and get cucked every single time. Again, if you cleanse yourself, Tricky is gonna remove everything, and this skill is very good. It gives recovery, defense, and shield to Abigail. If there's an enemy Tricky, you cleanse, everything in this skill is gonna get removed, so you don't really want it. Let's take a look at my box real quick. I have her R2 for the longest time. Well, not really the longest time. I think it's like about 1 or 2 months. Look, I haven't even given it to her. I'm gonna wait until I can probably get it to R4 because this is really bad for her. Maybe they should probably change this to something else because it's gonna make her worse against a specific unit. It's only one unit again, but again, that unit is so prevalent that it's not worth giving her the R2. Yeah, I think that's about it. The rest of the resonance are good. I know Daddy Free to Play has mentioned this a few times, but Jin Yuhao's R4 when attacking consumes 5% of max HP and deals true damage. True damage equals to 100% of consumed HP. He mentions this to be bad for Jin Yuhao, but I don't think so because this resonance is what makes her a threat. Without this resonance, she does no damage, and with this resonance, she becomes a bruiser that does a shit ton of damage. She sometimes out damages my Everett because of this, which is insane. So yeah, this resonance is very good for her. I think that's about it. Let me know in the comments if you find any other bad resonances that shouldn't be given to a certain unit. But those are I think that's 4 units that I mentioned: Abigail, Yuhei, Joser, and Alice. Yeah, those are my 4. But yeah, that's about it.